Now, the moon in Capricorn opposes the Mercury-Sun alignment in Cancer, and all three of them, the moon, Mercury, and the sun, square the Mars-Chiron alignment in Aries. So this creates a T-square with Mars and Chiron as the focus point, right? So there's always, with a T-square, there's always like two squares, one opposition, two squares, and then the planets that are at the point of the two squares, those are the planets that are called the focus point, and they experience the most stress. Now, let's unpack all of that, right? So let's start with the opposition between the moon, Mercury, and sun. So this asks us to balance loving, caring connections and sharing ourselves against our need to achieve something out there in the world, to have sort of like a security out there in the world, or a manifestation out there in the world that we desire, that shows us that we can reach our goals. So as best as you can, steer by your own inner compass and bring your authentic self to the world in a spirit of integrity and responsibility. And keep in mind that as we heal our personal history, we become a source of light and support for others. So really focusing on that, focusing on clearing our own past out, purging, making sure that we're not holding on to anything that's toxic, that we don't need to be holding on to any longer. Let it all go as best as you can so that you can be a source of light and support for other people. So ask yourself, what would self-responsible self-care look like? What does self-responsible self-care look like? Great question. And how does my inner life inform my outer? How does my inner life inform my outer? And how might nurturing myself support true self-acceptance and self-kindness? And I always say, like self-acceptance and self-kindness, those are such key components for us as human beings, so that we can overcome adversity, so that we can overcome wounding from the past, so that we can overcome struggles that we have with parts of ourselves, so that we can become more whole. Self-acceptance and self-kindness are so key. And if we don't know how to do that, we need to start now. We need to learn to practice how to do that. That is so important. It is such key for what's to come. So might it also help grant acceptance and kindness towards others and even the world at large? So as we're looking at the collective, can we bring kindness and acceptance towards the world at large? But again, it starts with ourselves, right? So if you can't do this for yourself, then how do you expect the world to operate in that way? And if you want the world to be more kind, to be more accepting of, diversity and of differences that we have, and of being human and forgiveness and allowing ourselves to unfold the way we do and to become whole. If you want the world to be that way, then you need to first of all start doing this for yourself. Now, Mercury is still retrograde until July 12th, so still retrograde at the time of this eclipse, and it might be wise to double check whether what we're doing aligns with our soul's journey, to really tap into that energy, knowing like how are we connecting with ourselves, what's my inner dialogue. Synchronicity and flow tells us that we're on the right track, that we're doing what needs to be done for ourselves, that we're tuning in, that we're listening to ourselves. Whereas if you experience miscommunications, accidents, mechanical breakdowns, these are often messages that we need to slow down, that we need to go within, that we need to reevaluate and listen more carefully to our intuition and to the part of ourselves that's trying to tell us right now how we can best nurture ourselves, how we can best align ourselves with what's needed so we feel rooted inside of ourselves, so we feel centered and grounded. Now, the Mars-Chiron alignment in Aries, because it's the focus point of that T-square, that experiences a tremendous amount of stress. So especially around anything connected to our insecurities concerning the masculine energies or our passions, that's where we're experiencing the stress, right? So ask yourself, what if I could simply accept the validity of my own desires, my passions, my desires, my feelings of anger? Might this acceptance support a more natural expression of those desires and feelings? And what if I became 5% more conscious of anything connected to a childhood wound that feels triggering to me? So remember, because Chiron is involved in this T-square and because it's the focus point, we might experience some triggers. So what might be possible if I practiced being kind with myself around those triggers? What role does my thinking play in all of this? What am I saying to myself about the triggers? What am I saying to myself about what's occurring, about my anger, about my desires, about my identity, right? What am I saying to myself? And just observing that can be very powerful. We don't necessarily have to have the answers all the time, but we want to make sure that we're conscious, that we're aware. Awareness and consciousness is much more important than having the answers. Much, much more. Now, the solution with all T-squares is to focus on the empty leg. So in this case, with this T-square, the empty leg lands in Libra. So we are therefore invited to focus our energies on collaborations and win-win situations and achieving a healthy balance within ourselves, within our lives, with our environment. So ask yourself, where is the balancing point? What if I channeled my energies into projects that benefit me and others? How might others contribute to my healing process around the masculine energies? And just remember, the masculine energies, that's everybody has them. Every human being has masculine energies because all that means is that it's the part of us that initiates something or that goes after something or that asserts itself or that it creates in a very sort of like outward way, in a direct outward way. Those are the masculine energies, and everyone does that, right? Now, what if I didn't have to do it all by myself? What if, all that is occurring in terms of like trying to balance stuff out and the healing process and the, all this stuff around the masculine energies, what if I didn't have to do it by myself? What if I could ask other people for support or to contribute? What if I didn't have to do it by myself? Now, because there will be, and the reason why this question actually is important is because there will be a tendency for us to think we have to do it by ourselves, but we really don't. That's why the moving towards the empty leg is so important, because the stress of that Mars, Chiron, and Aries is like, this is all on me. I have to do everything, right? And it, like how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the world, how you feel, it might bring up, all this energy and all this. It could bring up anger. It could bring up, feeling really discouraged, feeling really irritated. Could bring up a lot of stuff. So just see, what if I didn't have to do it all by myself? So one thing that I just want to say, that if you're watching this after June 30th, you do have until July 9th at midnight to sign up for the next forecasting forum with the early bird special. That is available. Please note that we will take a look at the Mercury and Chiron station phases on July 12th. We will also talk about Chiron's retrograde phase in Aries, which will start on July 11th until December 15th. And we will also talk about Mercury's direct motion, because Mercury will end its retrograde phase. And we will talk about the post-shadow phase in Cancer, which will be from July 12th until the 26th. So if you want to know how this is going to impact you personally, join me live, or you can also sign up for the MP4 video presentation if you can't make it that day. And other than booking a reading with me, this is definitely the highest level of support that I offer. And it's only $37 for the 90-minute webinar. Sometimes we even go longer than 90 minutes because I'm also answering questions for people. So it's really a fantastic way to connect with me. And with the early bird special, it only comes to $32. Now, if you like to join live, please keep in mind that registration will close an hour before the live event begins. And if you register after 10:30 a.m. on July 12th, you will receive an MP4 video presentation of the webinar. Now, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate all of you. If you have any questions about any membership functions, if you have any questions about the monthly forecasting forums, about the soul-based astrology courses, about astrology in general, then please don't hesitate to reach out to me at info@astrologercoach.com. Any personal questions, please ask them during the monthly forecasting forum on July 12th, or you can also book a one-on-one reading with me at any point. There are lots of different options available for that, so feel free to look at that on my website. All right, much love to all of you. Namaste. Have a good one. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay safe, stay healthy. Much love.